Good evening. I'm Scott Gettle for Quixie 98.3. It's a Wonderful Life is a gift to you from Bill and Marilyn Evans. Tonight's show features local actors, was created for radio by William D. Vest III, and was produced by Holly Sexton.
Yes, It's a Wonderful Life, and we present it now with our fine stars Howard Yates and Anita Condon. It's a Wonderful Life is a drama of a typical American. It might be you, it might be me. He dreams of glory, he lives in hope, he loves and doubts, and only Providence puts a final value on his service to humanity. This is the story of George Bailey, citizen of Bedford Falls, New York. George Bailey, who, more than anything under the sun, wanted to see the world, the wonderful, exciting world that lay somewhere beyond the limits of his hometown. Our story starts before the war. When life was normal, shortages were generally unknown, and simple luxuries like Quixie radio were abundant. Oddly enough, this story does not begin in Bedford Falls. In fact, it doesn't begin anywhere in the world. It begins in heaven, where the superintendent of angels has just summoned an apprentice angel named Clarence in answer to prayers.
I owe everything to George Bailey. Help him, dear Father.
Joseph, Jesus, and Mary, help my friend Mr. Bailey.
I love him, dear Lord. Watch over him tonight.
Please, God, something's the matter with Daddy. Please bring Daddy back.
He's the only one I've ever turned to for everything. He's been there for everybody. If you can do anything.
Hello, Joseph. In trouble?
Looks like we'll have to send someone down. A lot of people are asking for help for a man named George Bailey.
George Bailey? Yes, tonight's his crucial night. You're right, we'll have to send someone down immediately. Whose turn is it?
That's why I came to see you, sir. It's that clockmaker's turn again.
Oh, Clarence. Hasn't got his wing yet, has he? We've passed him up right along.
Because, you know, sir, he's got the IQ of a rabbit.
Yes, but he's got the faith of a child. Simple. Joseph, send for Clarence.
Sir, you sent for me?
Yes, there's a very discouraged man down there, Clarence, George Bailey. At exactly 10:45 p.m. Earth time, he'll be thinking seriously of ending his life.
Oh, dear, dear, his life.
Now, I want you to stop him if you can. Now, sit down. I'll give you Bailey's case history.
Sir, if I should accomplish my mission, may I perhaps get my wings? I've been waiting over 200 years now, and, well, people are beginning to talk.
Clarence, what's that book?
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, sir. I was reading it when you sent for me.
Oh, fine book. Excellent. Well, you do a good job on George Bailey, and we'll see about your wings.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Now, listen. When George Bailey was a boy, two events occurred that you should keep in mind. One was when his young brother, Harry, fell through the ice and almost drowned. George saved him.
Brother fell through the ice. George saved him.
Yippee!
Hey, who's that?
That's your problem, George Bailey.
A boy?
That's him when he was 12, back in 1919. Something happens here you'll have to remember later on.
And here comes the scare baby, my kid brother, Harry Bailey. I'm not scared. The ice broke. I'm coming, Harry. Hey, gang, make a chain. A chain.
George saved his brother's life that day, but he caught a bad cold which infected his left ear, cost him his hearing in that ear. It was weeks before he could return to his after-school job at Old Man Gower's drugstore.
It's me, Mr. Gower, George Bailey.
You're late.
Yes, sir.
Hello, George. Hello, Mary.
Hello, Violet.
2 cents worth of shoelaces.
He was here first.
I'm still thinking.
Shoelaces?
Please, Georgie. I like him.
You like every boy.
What's wrong with that?
Here you are.
Help me down.
Help you down?
Humph.
Made up your mind yet?
I'll take chocolate.
With coconuts?
I don't like coconuts.
You don't like coconuts? Say, Brainless, don't you know where coconuts come from? Look at here, from Tahiti, the Fiji Islands, Coral Sea.
A new magazine. I never saw it before.
Of course you never. Only us explorers can get it. I've been nominated for membership in the National Geographic Society. Let me fix your chocolate.
Is this the year you can't hear on? George Bailey, I'll love you till the day I die.
I'm going out exploring someday, you watch. And I'm going to have a couple of harems and maybe 3 or 4 wives. Wait and see.
One day, Mr. Gower's only son died of influenza. It was a terrible blow, and poor Mr. Gower tried to lose his grief in whiskey.
Where have you been, George? Mrs. Blaine's called twice. What happened to her prescription? You lost it, didn't you?
No, Mr. Gower, here it is.
Why, you good for nothing. Don't you know that plain girl's very sick?
Mr. Gower, my ear! You're hurting my sore ear!
I'll teach you not to loaf, you lazy brat.
Mr. Gower, you don't know what you're doing. You put something wrong in those capsules.
Shut up!
I know you feel bad, but look, Mr. Gower. Look, this bottle you used, the bottle to make up the capsules. It's poison.
Poison?
You don't hurt my sore ear again, Mr. Gower.
Poison? Oh, George. George, I'm sorry.
It's why I didn't deliver, Mr. Gower. All I wanted was to make sure.
George. George.
Well, Clarence, that was George Bailey as a boy. When he grew up, he wanted to go to college, but there just wasn't the money. So he worked 4 years in the Building and Loan Association.
Building and Loan Association?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. George's father was in the building and loan business. He and George's Uncle Billy. High ideals and low bank account. Anyway, George worked for his father and saved enough to see him through the university. That summer, though, he was going to Europe. Got a job on a cattle boat, do a little traveling before college.
An overnight bag, genuine English cowhide, combination lock, fitted up with brushes, combs.
No. Now look, Joe. Now look. I want a big one.
What did you stop it for?
I want you to take a good look at that face.
Who is it?
George Bailey.
Oh, you mean the kid that had his ear slapped by the druggist?
That's the kid.
It's a good face. I like it. I like George Bailey. Tell me, did he ever tell anyone about the pills?
Not a soul.
Did he ever marry the girl? Did he ever go exploring?
Well, wait and see.
Big, see? I don't want one for one night. I want something for 1,001 nights, with plenty of room for labels from Italy and Baghdad and Samarkand. A great big one.
I see, a flying carpet, huh? I don't suppose you'd like this old second-hand job, would you?
Now you're talking. Gee whiz, I could use this as a raft in case the boat sunk. How much does this cost?
No charge.
That's my trick here, Joe. It sounded as if you said no charge.
That's right. Look at the tag.
What's my name doing on it?
A little present from Old Man Gower. He came down and picked it out himself.
He did? What do you know about that? My old boss.
What boat you sailing on?
I'm working across on a cattle boat.
A cattle boat?
Okay, I like cows. Hey, Ernie.
Hey, George.
Hi, Bert.
George.
Ernie, I'm a rich tourist today. How about drive me home in style?
Sure, Your Highness. Hop in. And for the carriage trades, I puts on my hat.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bailey.
Hello, Violet. Hey, you look good. That's some dress you got on there.
Oh, this old thing? Why, I only wear it when I don't care how I look. See ya, Georgie.
How would you like?
Yes.
Want to come along, Bert? We'll show you the town.
No, thanks. I think I'll go home and see what the wife's doing.
Family man.
George! Harry! You're shaking down the house! Stop it!
Oh, Ma, let him alone. I wish I was up there with him.
Harry'll tear his dinner suit. George!
That's why all children should be girls.
But if they were all girls, there wouldn't be any oh, never mind. George, Harry, come to dinner this minute. Everything's getting cold, and you know we've been waiting for you.
Okay, Mom.
Oh, you two idiots. George, sit down and have dinner.
I've eaten.
Harry, aren't you going to finish dressing for your graduation party? Look at you.
I don't care. It's George's tux. Annie, I'm in love with you. There's a moon out tonight.
If you lay a hand on me, I'll hit you with this broom.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's hard to realize it's my last night at the Bailey boarding house.
Well, we're sure gonna miss you, George.
I'm gonna miss you too, Pop. Hey, what's the matter? You look tired.
Oh, I had another tussle with old Henry Potter today.
Oh, I thought when you put him on the board of directors, he'd ease up.
So did I.
I just can't understand a man like Mr. Potter. He can't begin to spend all the money he has.
I guess Potter owns about everything he wants in Bedford Falls, except our building and loan. That's why he hates us.
Hey, George, can I borrow your tuxedo studs?
Yeah, help yourself, Harry.
Well, where are they? In your suitcase?
No, I'm not taking a tuxedo in a cattle boat, you know.
No gin tonight, son.
Aw, Pop, just a little.
No, son, not one drop.
Boys and girls and music, why do they need gin?
Say, where'd you get that suitcase anyway?
Oh, Mr. Gower, going away present. And one of these days you're going to see that bag all covered with travel labels. Italy and Baghdad and Samarkand.
Gonna have a pretty full summer, huh?
I'm going to have a pretty full life.
Hey, why don't you come to the dance tonight?
What? And be bored to death?
Well, you couldn't ask for a better death. Lots of pretty girls. Hey, I gotta go.
I wish we could send Harry to college with you, George.
We've got that all figured out now, Pop. He'll take over my job at the building and loan, work 4 years like I did, and then he'll go.
He's pretty young for that job.
Well, no younger than I was.
Maybe you were born older, George.
Huh?
I say, maybe you were born older. I suppose you've decided what you're going to do then when you get out of college.
Oh, well, you know what I've always talked about. Building things. Design new buildings, plan modern cities, all that stuff I was talking about.
Still after that first million before you're 30.
No, I'll settle for half that in cash.
Of course, it's just a hope. But you wouldn't consider coming back to the building and loan, would you?
Well, Annie, why don't you draw up a chair? Then you'd be more comfortable and you could hear everything that's going on.
I would, if I thought I'd hear anything worth listening to.
Oh, you would, huh?
George, when you got out of college, I don't suppose you'd come back to the building and loan?
Oh, no, now, Pop, I just couldn't. I couldn't face being cooped up the rest of my life in a shabby little office. I'm sorry, Pop. Now, I didn't mean that, but it's just this business of nickels and dimes. I'd go crazy. I want to do something big, something important.
In a small way, we are doing something important, George. In that shabby little office, we help people figure out how they can own their own homes.
I know, Pop. I just wish I felt that. But I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
You're right, boy. You get yourself an education, then get out of here.
Aw, Pop. Pop, you want a shock? I think you're a pretty great guy. Oh, did you hear that, Annie?
I heard it. About time one of you lunkheads said it.
I'm gonna miss old Annie. Pop, I think I'll get dressed and go over to Harry's party.
Have a good time, son.
Here you are.
Hey, gang, you know my kid brother George. I'm gonna put him through college.
Here comes George. Hello. Hee-haw!
Oh, Sam Wainwright, how are you? When did you get here?
Oh, this afternoon. I thought I'd give the kids a treat.
Old college graduate now, huh?
Yeah, Old Joe College Wainwright, they call me. Well, freshman, looks like you're going to make it after all.
Yep.
Hey, George.
Hello, Violet.
Hello. What am I bid?
George.
Hiya, Marty. Well, it's old home week.
Do me a favor, will you, George?
What's that?
Well, you remember my kid sister, Mary?
Oh, yeah.
Mommy wants you, Marty. Mommy wants you, Marty. Remember?
Dance with her, will you?
Oh, me? Oh, well, I feel funny enough already with all these kids.
Oh, come on, be a sport. Just dance with her one time, you'll give her the thrill of her life.
Oh, go on.
Well, excuse me, Violet. Don't be long, Marty. I don't want to be a wet nurse for...
That's when George first saw Mary as a woman. She's talking to one of the boys, Freddie, a glass of punch in her hand. She turns around and for the first time she sees George. For a moment, both lose their composure and simply stare at one another.
And the next thing I know, some guy came up and tripped me. That's the reason why I came in fourth. If it hadn't been for that, that race would have been a cinch. I tried to find out who it was later, but I couldn't find out. Nobody ever tell you whoever it was because they'd be scared. They know what kind of...
Remember, George, this is Mary. Well, I'll be seeing you.
Well. Mary Hatch. Would you like to dance?
Hey, this is my dance.
Why don't you stop annoying people?
Well, I'm sorry. Hey.
Well, hello.
Hello. You look at me as if you didn't know me.
Well, I don't.
You've passed me on the street almost every day.
Me?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. That was the little girl named Mary Hatch. That wasn't you.
So George Bailey went to a dance. Is that important, Joseph?
Why, it was at that dance he met Mary Hatch.
Ah. Oh.
And 3 hours later, he was walking her home. George and Mary were feeling pretty good, Clarence. As a matter of fact, wonderful.
Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight? And dance by the light of the moon. Hot dog!
Beautiful.
Oh boy, just like an organ.
At least.
And I told Harry I thought I'd be bored to death. You should have seen the commotion in that locker room. I had to knock down 3 people to get the stuff we're wearing here. Here, let me hold that old wet dress of yours. Say, I wonder how that gymnasium floor opened up anyway.
What?
Well, you know, the pool we fell into. I wonder how the floor opened up like that.
Oh, I don't know. Do I look as funny as you do?
I guess I'm not quite the football type. You look wonderful. You know, if it wasn't me talking, I'd say you're the prettiest girl in town.
Well, why don't you say it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I will. Hey, how old are you anyway?
18.
18?
Too young or too old?
No. That's just right. It sort of fits you. Hey, look where we are.
Oh, the old Granville house.
Yeah, I gotta throw a rock.
Oh, no, George. I love that old house.
Well, don't you know about deserted houses? You make a wish and then you throw a rock.
George, but it's such a lovely old place. I wish I lived there.
In there? I wouldn't live in it as a ghost. Now watch this. Here we go. How about it, huh? Pretty good shot, huh? Broke a window, huh?
What'd you wish, George?
Oh, I don't know. Not just one wish. A whole hatful of them. Mary, I'm shaking the dust off this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm gonna see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum, and then I'm coming back here to go to college and see what they know. And then I'm gonna build things. I'm gonna build airfields and skyscrapers 100 stories high and bridges a mile long. Say, what are you doing? You gonna throw a rock? Hey, that's pretty good. What'd you wish, Mary?
Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight?
Can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, can't you come out tonight? And dance by the light of the moon. What did you wish when you threw that rock?
Oh, no.
Come on, tell me.
If I told you, it might not come true.
What is it you want, Mary? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Mary.
I'll take it. And then what?
Well, then you could swallow it and it'll all dissolve, see? And then moonbeams shoot out of your fingers and your toes and the ends of your hair. Am I talking too much?
Yes, why don't you kiss her already instead of talking her to death?
How's that?
Youth is wasted on the wrong people.
Well, hey, just a minute, mister. Hey, you come on back here. I'll show you some kissing that'll get...
George!
Hey, Uncle Billy, look here, I'm gonna kiss Mary.
George! Get in the car, quick! Your father's had a stroke!
What?
George, get in, hurry!
Did you get a doctor?
Yes, Campbell's there now!
Well, George's father died that night, Clarence. So, of course, George couldn't go to Europe. But that fall, just as he was ready to leave for college, the directors of the building and loan had a meeting. They were going to appoint a successor to Mr. Bailey.
What was that you said, Mr. Potter?
I said, as long as Peter Bailey's dead, let's dissolve the building and loan. We don't need it.
Now, wait a minute.
No, you wait a minute. Peter Bailey was not a businessman. I claim this institution is not necessary to this town. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to dissolve this institution and turn its assets and liabilities over to the receiver.
George, you hear what that buzzard... Mr. Chairman, it's too soon after Peter Bailey's death to discuss chloroforming the building and loan.
It was his faith and devotion that are responsible for this organization.
I'll go further than that. I'll say that to the public, Peter Bailey was the building and loan.
Oh, that's fine, Potter. Coming from you, considering you probably drove him to his grave.
Peter Bailey was not a businessman. That's what killed him. Oh, I don't mean any disrespect to him, God rest his soul. He was a man of high ideals, so-called. But ideals without common sense can ruin this town. What do we get? A discontented, lazy rabble instead of a thrifty working class. Now you take this loan here to Ernie Bishop. You know, that fella that sits around all day on his brains at his taxi. You know, I happen to know the bank turned down this loan. But he comes here, and we're building him a house worth $5,000. Why?
Well, I handled that, Mr. Potter. You have all the papers there. His salary, insurance. I can personally vouch for his character.
A friend of yours?
Yes, sir.
You see, if you shoot pool with some employee here, you can come and borrow money. What does that get us? And all because a few starry-eyed dreamers like Peter Bailey stir them up and fill their heads with a lot of impossible ideas. Now I say...
Just a minute. Now hold on, Mr. Potter. You're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building and loan, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character because his whole life was... Why, in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy? He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. But he did help a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that? Why, here, you're all businessmen here. Doesn't that make them better citizens? Doesn't it make them better customers? You said, what's it you said just a minute ago? They had to wait and save their money before they even ought to think of a decent home? Wait for what? Until their children grow up and leave them? Until they're so old and broken down that Do you know how long it takes a working man to save $5,000? Just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I'm not interested in your book. I'm talking about the building and loan.
I know very well what you're talking about. You're talking about something you can't get your fingers on and it's galling you. That's what you're talking about, I know. Well, I've said too much. You're the board here. You do what you want with this thing. Just one more thing, though. This town needs this measly one-horse institution, if only to have some place where people can come without crawling to Potter. Come on, Uncle Billy.
What happened, George?
Yeah, all we heard was a lot of yelling.
Boy, oh boy, you should have heard George.
Yeah, they're in there voting us out of business.
Well, who cares? I can get another job. I'm only 41.
45.
Will you get out of here, George? You missed your boat trip. Do you want to miss college, too?
George, we just voted Potter down. We're still in business.
Whoopee! We're still in business! We're still in business!
But there's one condition, George. They've appointed you to take your father's place.
Appoint me? But I'm going to college. Look, this is my last chance. Uncle Billy's your man.
George, you've got to take it. They'll vote with Potter otherwise. They said so.
I know. George Bailey didn't go to college.
That's right, Clarence. He gave his college money to Harry. Harry went instead.
But what happened to that good-looking girl? You know, Mary.
Oh, George saw her now and then. Not very often, though, because Mary went away to school, too. Anyway, George waited 4 years more for Harry to come back and take over the building and loan. He could still see the world. He planned to work in the oil fields, Venezuela. Except when Harry came home, he wasn't alone. There was a girl with him, his wife.
George?
Yeah, I'm out here on the porch, Mother. I just thought I'd get some air.
Well, how do you like your new sister-in-law?
She's swell.
Looks like she can keep Harry on his toes.
Yeah, and keep him out of Bedford Falls anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, Ruth's father, he's got a wonderful job for Harry up in Buffalo.
Buffalo? Well, that means that you...
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
Georgia, did you know Mary Hatch is back from school?
Yeah.
Nice girl, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stop grunting.
Well?
Give me one good reason why you shouldn't call on Mary.
Well, Sam Wainwright, for one. Sam's crazy about Mary.
Well, she's not crazy about him.
Well, now, how do you know that? Did she discuss it with you? How do you know anything about
Well,
that?
I've got eyes, haven't I? Why, she lights up like a firefly whenever you're around. Besides, Sam's away in New York.
Oh, and all's fair in love and war, huh? I see. Okay, Mother, I think I'll go out and find that girl and do a little passionate necking.
Oh, George!
Goodbye, Mrs. Bailey. By the way, do you want any books at the library?
Library? George, you go and see Mary, do you hear?
Excuse me, boys.
Now, wait a minute.
I think I got a date, but stick around, fellas, just in case, huh?
We'll wait for you, baby.
Hello, Georgie Porgy.
Hello, Vi.
What gives?
Nothing.
Where are you going?
No, I'll probably end up down at the library.
George, don't you ever get tired of just reading about things?
Yes. What are you doing tonight?
Not a thing.
Are you game, Vi? Let's make a night of it.
Oh, I'd love it, Georgie. What'll we do?
Let's go out in the fields and take off our shoes and walk through the grass.
Huh?
Then we can go up to the falls. It's beautiful up there in the moonlight. And there's a green pool up there and we can swim in it. Then we can climb in Mount Bedford and smell the pines and watch the sunrise against the peaks, and we'll stay up there the whole night and everybody will be talking and there'll be a terrific scandal.
George, have you gone crazy? Walking the grass in my bare feet? Why, it's 10 miles up to Mount Bedford. You think just because
Okay, just forget about the whole thing.
What are you doing, picketing?
Hello, Mary. I just happened to be passing by.
Yeah, so I noticed. Have you made up your mind?
How's that?
Have you made up your mind?
About what?
About coming in. Your mother just phoned and said you were on your way over to pay me a visit.
My mother just called you? Well, how did she know?
Didn't you tell her?
I didn't tell anybody. I just went for a walk and happened to be passing by. What do? Went for a walk, that's all.
Well?
Well, all right, I'll come in for a minute, but I didn't tell anybody I was coming here. I Fella can't even go for a walk nowadays without... When did you get back?
Tuesday.
Ah, where'd you get that dress?
Do you like it?
Well, it's all right.
Well, no point in standing here on the porch. Come on in.
I still can't understand it. I didn't tell anybody I was coming here, you know?
Would you rather leave?
Well, no, I don't want to be rude. I'll sit down for a while.
It's nice about your brother and Ruth, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all right.
Don't you like her?
Well, of course I like her. She's a peach.
Oh, just marriage in general you're not enthusiastic about,
No, marriage is all right for a lot of people. It's all right for Harry, Sam Wainwright, and you.
For Sam?
Mary!
It's George Bailey, Mother!
What's he want?
I don't know. What do you want?
Me? Not a thing. Not a thing. I just came in to get warm.
He's making violent love to me, Mother.
You just tell him to go right back home. Sam said he'd call you tonight from New York, didn't he?
I guess so. How about some music?
You know, your mother need... You know, I didn't come here to...
What did you come here for?
I don't know. You tell me. You're supposed to be the one who has all the answers. You tell me.
Oh, why don't you go home?
Well, that's where I'm going. I don't know why I came here in the first place. Good night.
Good night.
Mary! Mary, the telephone, it's Sam.
I'll get it.
Mary, he's waiting.
Hello?
I forgot my hat.
Hee-haw, hello, Sam. How are you?
Ah, great. Gee, it's good to hear your voice again.
Oh, well, that's awfully sweet of you, Sam. There's an old friend of yours here, George Bailey.
You mean old Mossback George?
Yes, old Mossback George.
Hee-haw, put him on.
Wait a minute, I'll call him. George!
He doesn't want to speak to George, you idiot.
He does so. He asked for him. George, Sam wants to speak to you.
Hiya, Sam.
Well, George Baileyovsky. Hey, a fine pal you are. What are you trying to do, steal my girl?
What do you mean? Nobody's trying to steal anybody's girl. Here, Mary, you take the phone.
No, wait, George. I want to speak to you both. Tell Mary to get on the extension upstairs.
He says for you to get on the extension upstairs.
I can't. Mother's on the extension.
I am not.
We can both hear, George. Just put your head a little closer.
What?
There, that's better. We're listening, Sam.
Well, I have a big deal coming up that's going to make us all rich. George, you remember that time you told me about making plastics out of soybean?
Soybeans, yeah, soybeans,
Well, Dad snatched up the idea. He's going to build a factory outside Rochester. How do you like that?
Rochester? Well, why Rochester?
Well, why not? Can you think of anything better?
Oh, I don't know. Why not right here? You remember that old tool and machinery works? You tell your father he can get that for a song and all the labor he wants, too. Half the town was thrown out of work when they closed down.
That's so. Well, I'll tell him. Hey, that sounds great. Oh, baby, I knew you'd come through. Now, here's the point. Mary, you're in on this, too. Now, listen. Have you got any money?
Money? Yeah, well, a little.
Well, now listen. I want you to put every cent you've got into our stock, you hear? And George, I may have a job for you. That is, unless you're still married to that broken-down building and loan. But this is the biggest thing since radio, and I'm letting you in on the ground floor. Oh, Mary.
I'm here.
You tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime, you hear?
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
Give me that phone.
Here's George again, Sam. George!
Now you listen to me. I don't want any plastics, I don't want any ground floors, and I don't want to get married, ever, to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you're...
George.
Mary. Oh, Mary, darling. I love you, Mary.
Well. So George Bailey and Mary Hatch were...
Yes, George and Mary were married. And they started off on their honeymoon in Ernie Bishop's taxicab.
Hey, where are you two going on this here now honeymoon?
We're gonna shoot the works, Ernie. A whole week in New York, a whole week in Bermuda, the highest hotel, the oldest champagne, the hottest music, and the prettiest wife.
Woohoo! So you're finally getting out of Bedford Falls, eh? Then what?
Well, then what, honey?
After that, who cares?
That does it. Hey, you know, Mrs. Bailey, I haven't kissed you yet.
Hey, George, there's something funny going on over there. Look over there at the bank. It looks like a run.
Pull over there a minute, will you, Ernie?
George, let's not stop. Please, let's go straight to the station.
Now, wait a minute. Better see what it is. I'll be right back.
George, please! George!
George!
Well, we're back in heaven again, where the superintendent of angels is reviewing the case history of a mortal named George Bailey. Clarence, the apprentice angel, is very eager to depart on his mission to the earth.
Poor George Bailey. Oh, he's certainly in desperate trouble, Joseph. I'll go to him at once.
Now, you sit down, Clarence, sit down. We're nowhere near the point where George Bailey is thinking of taking his life.
We're not?
Now, where were we? Oh, yes. George and Mary had just started out on their honeymoon when they ran smack into the financial panic of 1932. In the waiting room of the building and loan, 100 frantic people were clamoring for their savings.
What's going on, Uncle Billy? What's happened? All those people out there.
Oh, this is a pickle, George. All I know is the bank called our loan an hour ago. I had to hand over all our cash.
Holy mackerel!
The whole town's gone crazy. Bank's in the same spot we are.
Our charter.
What about our charter?
Our charter says we have to stay open till 6 p.m. The state can take away our license if we don't.
How can we stay open till 6 without any money, George? Where are you going?
Out to talk to those people. Come on. Now, please. Now, please, folks. Now, just a minute. Now, please.
How about our money, George? Where's our money?
Now, come on, now, please. Now, wait a minute. Now, listen to me. Now, you're thinking this place all wrong. Your money's not here.
It's not here. The money's not here.
Wait a minute. Now, let me tell you. Your money's in people's houses. In the Kennedy house, in the McLaren house, and in your house, and 100 others. Now, what are you going to do? Foreclose on them?
I got $240 in shares. Now let me have it.
All right, Charlie. You'll get your money in 60 days.
60 days?
Well, now look, that's what you agreed on when you bought our shares.
I got my money.
Where did you get your money?
Old man Potter's taking over the bank. He'll pay you 50 cents on every dollar.
Then let's take our shares to Potter. Half's better than nothing.
Tom, Randall. Now listen to me. I beg of you not to do this thing. If Potter gets a hold of this building and loan, there'll never be another decent house built in this town. He's already got charge of the bank, he's got the bus line, he's got the department stores, and now he's after us. Why? Well, it's very simple. Because we're cutting in on his business, that's why. Because he wants to keep you living in his slums and paying the kind of rent he decides. Joe, you lived in one of his houses, didn't you? Well, have you forgotten? Have you forgotten what he charged you for that broken down shack? Here, Ed, you remember last year when things weren't going so well, and you couldn't make your payments? You didn't lose your house, did you? Do you think Potter would have let you keep it? Can't you understand what's happening here? Don't you see what's happening? Potter isn't selling, Potter's buying. And why? Because we're panicky and he's not, that's why. He's picking up some bargains. Now, we can get through this thing, all right. We've got to stick together, though. We've got to have faith in each other.
My husband's out of work. We need money.
And I've got doctor's bills to pay.
I can't feed my kids on faith.
Yeah, me too. I gotta feed my children. Come on.
How much do you need? We've still got some money.
Hey, Mary!
Here it is, George. You told me to hold on to it. Would have made a nice honeymoon. Bought furniture, too.
Hey, now, wait a minute, folks. Listen, I got $2,000. All right, Charlie, how much do you need?
$240.
Now, Charlie, listen, just enough to tide you over.
I said $240.
Okay, Uncle Billy, give Charlie $240. All right, Ed, now how much does to get by?
Well, $20, I suppose.
Well, now you're talking. Mrs. Thompson, how about you?
But it's your own money.
Never mind about that. How much do you want?
Well, I can get along with 20, all right.
Okay, $10, $15, $20.
And I'll sign a paper.
You don't have to sign anything. I know you'll pay it back when you can. That's okay. All right, Mrs. Davis?
Could I have $17.50?
Okay, 7. Oh, bless your heart. Of course you can have it. You got 50 cents? 7, 6.
Look at the clock. Look.
5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 6 o'clock. We made it. Lock that door, Eunice, quick. Boy, we're still in business, Uncle Billy. We even got $2 left.
George, there's a call for you.
Oh, okay, and then call my wife, will you? She's probably over at Mother's.
Mrs. Bailey's on the line.
I don't want Mrs. Bailey. I want my wife, Mrs. Bailey. Well, that's my wife. Give me that phone, will you? Hey, Mary, listen. Mary, I'm sorry. Huh? Come home? Well, what home? Well, 323 Sycamore? Well, whose home is that? What? Well, Mary, how can I... Well, sure, all right. I'll be there.
Clarence, guess what 323 Sycamore was?
His mother-in-law's house, huh?
Oh, no. Number 323 Sycamore was the old Granville house, the one George threw rocks at and made wishes. Yes, sir, that's where they spent their honeymoon. That's where they started housekeeping. They were still living there 2 years later when Old Man Potter asked George to stop over at his office.
Sit down, George, sit down. Have a cigar?
Well, thank you, sir.
You like it? I'll send you a box.
Well, I suppose I'll find out sooner or later, but just what exactly did you want to see me about?
Now, George, now that's just what I like so much about you. Now, George, I'm an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even. You know just as well as I do that I run practically everything in this town but the Bailey Building and Loan. You know also that for a number of years I've been trying to get control of it, or kill it. But I haven't been able to do it. You have been stopping me. In fact, you have beaten me, George. And as anyone in this county can tell you, that takes some doing. Take during the Depression, for instance. You and I were the only ones that kept our heads. You saved the building and loan, and I saved all the rest.
Yes, well, most people say you stole